I think we're going live.
Are we live?
Are we going live? There might be 3 people here. Does that include us?
Hello, everyone.
Okay, so maybe comment or say something if you can hear us, because we can't see anything. We're talking to ourselves right now.
This is our first time going live, so let us know if you can hear us.
It says we're live.
How do I? Yay!
How about
thank
that?
you.
We got some feedback. Okay.
Hi, guys. Welcome.
I think there's 3 of us, but we'll give people some time to come on here, and if not, we'll call it if it gets too awkward for all of us. But it's Sunday morning, and we're back on land, so we can
get some hot cups.
Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah. You're probably surprised we're wearing clothes, and we're not on a boat right now. So there has been some changes.
Yep.
At the moment. So we can talk about that here in a minute. We'll let more people come online.
Yeah, maybe we'll give 5 more minutes or something for people to tune in. But yeah, come on the comments, introduce yourself, say where you're checking in from, and we'll say what's up.
Yeah, we want to get to.
We got Jonathan. Hola.
Hola, Jonathan.
Deadhead. We can hear you.
Where are we?
Hi,
Auntie.
Hi, Leica. We are in Portland, Oregon.
Yeah.
So, hey, Jim. How's it going?
Hey, Jim.
Checking in from Dallas. Nice.
We're in Portland.
Yeah.
You can see we're wearing clothes. It's a little colder here than the Big Island.
Nice. We got Shannon from Snohomish. Welcome. Good morning. So we're back in Portland, and the reason we're back in Portland is because we're here to help our team out. We have a manufacturing team here in Portland, Oregon, and as we all know, this year has been one heck of a year for many reasons. But essentially, we are a little more delayed than we'd like to be due to wildfires, COVID, all that stuff. And so we've come back to Portland to help out our team and get things sped up, caught up, and get projects out the door basically, and help our clients and our future clients understand more about what we do. And a part of that is this YouTube thing. This is all new to us, and we're trying to put it together. So
this is a whole new world for us, but we're excited to work with it, and we want to talk to you guys a little bit about that today, and what you want to see on our YouTube channel, and what you have questions about and everything like that regarding business, our lifestyle, whatever. Just throw out some questions and we're happy to answer them. Let's see.
Yeah, we got Jonathan.
Hi, Jonathan.
From Chicago.
Yes, we got our Portland attire.
Hi, Dad.
Oh, hey, Chris.
Hi, Mom.
Hello.
Biggest fans out there. So yeah, we're super thankful for everyone that's followed along our journey thus far, and just has subscribed to our channels, and we have clients on here and people we don't even know on here, and of course family. So thanks to everyone for being a part of it.
Yeah, following us and supporting us and everything like that. So we're happy to be here.
Thank you, John, for letting us be at your house right now. So we're actually at our friend John's place in Portland, and we've been feeding his cat, who's making its way across the table right now. So we'll see if Kitty wants to have a cameo. However, we will be moving into a tiny space with 1,000 watts on the roof, of course. So we've always got to have 1,000 watts over our head, whether it's in our own van or sailboat or back at our friend's little tiny home. So we got more on that coming soon.
We're going to make a little video about that. So, because it's a really cool little tiny house setup. And also John's house, which we'll also get into at some point as well.
Yeah, we're actually at an urban off-grid home, which is super cool. But yeah, John's the kind of person that does what he says he's going to do. And he's built his dream little ADU, and it's got tons of solar, batteries, a hot tub, all solar powered, smack dab in the middle of Portland, Oregon. So
here's Kitty.
Hi, Kitty.
Jonathan asked a question. Are you Victron purist, or would you like to work different components for? Okay. Well, we like Victron a lot.
Electro DACA's SBMs. I'm not familiar with that, if that's a company reference. However, Victron makes some of the best components out there. And another part of using kind of all one manufacturer is because they integrate so nicely together. So we'll have, your charge controller, your alternator charger, inverter, all that stuff, communicating on the same interface. So from the controller standpoint, you can kind of see your overall system power flow. Whereas if you mix match a bunch of different stuff, you kind of end up with a screen for each thing. You'll have a monitoring screen for your charge controller, and you'll have another one for your inverter, where because we use all Victron in our systems, everything integrates really nicely on a single touch screen. So we got another question: why 1,000 watts? What does it offer? It offers a lot of clean solar power. So part of that really is the amount of charging ability you can have during the day. So depending on your battery bank size, you're going to be able to put, 1,000 watts or some percentage of that into your battery bank for every hour of sun that you're in. And for 2 people, 1,000 watts is probably overkill. However, of things to be overkill in your system, solar's the best bang for the buck. So maximizing that solar generation ability is going to just fill your battery bank up faster. And the bigger battery bank you have, the more energy you can store. So 1,000 watts has just kind of been our random sweet spot, which is kind of funny. We had it on our van, and then we
have it on the boat.
Yeah, 1080 on the boat. And then our friend's place has 1,000 watts on his little tiny home. So
it's a good number.
It's a good number. So you can do more of them. Just about any topic will suffice.
Okay.
Well, thanks, Dead12Dead.
I'm not sure what your real name is, but thank you. We'll do that.
Yeah, part of us being on here and just in general, we're going to kind of be probing you guys a little more with questions and stuff. But we want to know what you want to see. Is it more technical information, or is it more lifestyle stuff? It's kind of interesting to be able to share both, to talk about our business and our lifestyle. So we can talk about spearfishing, or we can talk about batteries. It's whatever you guys kind of want to see. We're happy to help get that out there.
What about okay,
so G-Wash, what about your batteries? Is it okay to use different lithium batteries? So there are different lithium battery manufacturers aside from Victron, and we actually use a different manufacturer. We use Rely-On batteries, and the reason for that is just because we started working with Rely-On early on with our company, and we've never had a problem. We actually ventured out to some other manufacturers along the way and had a few issues. I've never personally used Victron batteries, but I've heard good things. However, for our side of the equation, there's a little more involvement with the battery management system, where they require, an external BMS and stuff, where Rely-On has that built in. And obviously, cost is a factor. So we love using all Victron components for the most part. Obviously, the integration of those components is different. And then we have Rely-On batteries. So right on, we got Jim. He's revealed his real name. And okay, so this is a really common question. What can you run on 1,000 watts at one time? And so it's always good to clarify what that means. So we'll do a post. We'll shout out like, hey, look here's 1,000 watts on our van. And then someone will comment, can that power an air conditioner? And that is a tricky question, because the solar is not necessarily powering your air conditioner. The inverter is what makes power, watts, 120 volts, from your battery bank. Solar fills your battery bank back up. So if you have a tiny little 500 watt inverter and you go and try and plug in an air conditioner, it's going to be unable to power that AC unit, right? Because it doesn't have a high enough power output. So the question to ask is like, how long can I sustain this amount of daily loads, which is measured in watt hours? And a part of some of the information we want to put out there is how to think about that and how to figure that kind of thing out. But essentially it's look at how many watts all the things you want to use and add them up to get watt hours for your daily energy consumption, which will tell you how much solar you want to refill. So if you just, I don't know, I won't geek out for too long because Sav's giving me the look. We got questions loading up on the side, but a quick example would be like, say your daily use is 3,000 watt hours per day because you ran your blender and a couple other things. You're going to want at least 3 hours of sun with 1,000 watts of solar to fill that amount of energy back up into your battery banks. So for every hour you're in the sun, you're generating 1,000 watts, and that's going back into your batteries. So
okay,
you jump in there, Sav. I'll play with Kitty.
Okay, Jonathan, will you sell your solar panels alone or have plans to do so at some point? We do sell our solar panels alone, our standard solar panels, but if you're asking about our 500 watt solar roof deck, that's kind of a kit as itself. So yes, we do sell our panels separately from our pre-wired kits.
Kitty going down.
Okay, Jim, can you mix solar panels? One large solar panel, 400 watts, then a few smaller ones, 100 watts.
So good question. Yeah, each solar panel has its own voltage and current, or it's called IV curve. And basically the short, easy answer is no. You don't want to mix match solar. You would not want to have a 400 watt solar panel hooked up to a charge controller and also have a 100 watt solar panel hooked up to that same charge controller, or even worse, physically wire those solar panels together. You would not want to put like a 400 watt panel in series with a 100 watt panel. And the difference is the IV curve, the voltage for each panel is different, and therefore needs to have a dedicated charge controller for that specific IV curve. So the best way to do it is if you do have a mismatched shaped roof and you want to, put a 400 watt solar panel over here and a 100 watt solar panel over here, they're going to be their own system. Each of them are going to talk to their own charge controller, and then they can charge the same battery bank, but you would not want to have them wired together. So hopefully that helps.
Okay, what do we got? Okay. I know you can put a fan under the solar roof garage. How does it blow out the air? And how does the air escape with that configuration?
Good question.
That's a great question.
It's such a mystery. How
does it work?
How does it vent from that roof box in those photos that you've seen? If you look at a Max Air fan, it has a big hood, and actually the grill of the hood is out the tail of the van. So it opens up and the air comes out the back. So looking at that, the air comes down out of the vent and then it goes, elsewhere. So that being said, our roof box goes over the vent. We cut a hole out. We put a big fiberglass hood over it inside the roof box, so any small things that are in your box won't fall out. And therefore, because the box is not touching the roof, it's raised up off the roof by a couple inches, it allows the Max Air to still open as it's designed to open. And because there's that hood over the whole thing, the air comes up out of the van, exhausts down out of the Max Air like they're designed to do. But there's a 2-inch void between the roof box and the roof of the van. And so that air goes outside and not into the roof box. So that is a good question.
No, that was a great question.
Everyone gets to look at our reading face.
Do you make small panel kits for something like a Subaru to charge small appliances, laptop phones when camping?
We can. There are a lot of like self-contained power boxes on the market these days for just charging cell phones and laptops and that kind of thing. But if you have a specific need, don't hesitate to email us and get in touch with us, and we can kind of customize a project for you. Whether that be just finding a solar panel that fits in the dimensions your project requires, or custom designing a kit for your specific needs, because we can do both. Just every project's different. So if you have something special you want to do, don't hesitate to email us, and we can get something in the works.
Yeah, we can get something working for you.
Bye, okay. Jonathan. He's got to go walk the dog.
Oh.
Thanks for cruising. Okay, hold on. We're catching up here.
Okay, where we are? No,
there's this one right here.
Okay.
So, okay.
Okay, we are here. Okay.
Mystery solved. Okay, cool. So hopefully that helps make some sense there. And yeah, I guess just to touch on the roof box with the mysterious fan again, our theory with ventilation is if you have windows, having one vent is plenty. I'm not a person that thinks you need two vents. We lived in our van for 4 years. We had some nice windows. Mm-hmm. We just crack the windows at night, turn the vent on, pull air out, and we get a substantial breeze through those windows. That was, really nice ventilation. And
no, it was perfect. Okay, let's see. Love to see more videos about how your work and lifestyle support each other.
Okay. We can do that.
Focus on that. We can do that.
I think to touch on that, in our minds, we're all trying to live the dream, right? And it's awesome being in the business we are for off-grid adventure vehicles, because all of you guys are awesome and you're looking at taking on new adventures in your life, whether it's selling your house and moving your family into a van to go travel the country and see the beautiful places, or you just want a weekend hot rod to get out there and, live it. So a part of our business that we love is all the people we get to work with. And that being said, in our own life, we want to demonstrate how being off-grid can be really awesome. And solar power, giving you that freedom to go anywhere you want in the world, have the electricity you need when you get there, is you can't put a price on it. So energy independence, I think now more than ever, is a very interesting subject, and a lot of people are excited about it. And we're here to basically help you make that transition so you can go have solar powered adventures. That's why we always hashtag, solar power adventures. And so we will kind of demonstrate more of that, how we can work off satellite internet on the boat in the middle of the ocean because we have solar power charging up our batteries and keeping us connected, or right here at this house in urban Portland with a hot tub. It's pretty awesome. If the power goes out, our friend John can still take a hot tub and have his friends over to his place. So energy independence is pretty amazing.
It's really important right now. Okay, we got some questions here. Okay, Corey, I'm buying a Chris Craft 40-foot motorboat. I want to install 2 Ocean Volt engines. How much solar would be required?
Good question.
That's a really good question.
We can look at that specifically together. However, it's all based on dimensions. How much solar real estate do you have? What would look absurd and what would look, normal on the Chris Craft? And the problem with electric propulsion right now in the marine industry is the amount of energy those electric motors use. I mean, they're 10 to 15 kilowatt motors, which means they use 10,000 watts per hour for every hour you're running. So the battery banks need to be massive in order to support that load. So it makes a lot more sense with sailing catamarans and sailing vessels, because electric propulsion is essentially don't motor as much as possible. And then when you need to, you're just anchoring or you're pulling into a harbor or that kind of thing. But to motor for hours on end is, $30 to $40 to $60,000 in batteries. So, if you had a 10,000 watt motor, you basically need 60,000 watt hours of storage. And that's about $60,000 in batteries alone just to support that load for motoring that short amount of time. So it's getting there. I don't think it's there yet. However, you can Google all electric yachts, and there are some super awesome ones out there. They have a lot of room for solar. And so I guess to accurately answer your question, if you could have more solar than the electric load of your motor, you're in a good position. So if you have a 10,000 watt motor and you can put 15,000 watts or 20,000 watts or kilowatts, 20 kilowatts up on the roof of your electric boat, then you're going to be able to keep up with that load, which is awesome. So
hopefully that answered your question.
Yeah.
Okay, Cassandra, can you remove the roof box at a later date after it's been installed and then reinstall it again? I mean, you could,
yes,
but it's kind of a pain in the butt to do that.
It would be easier to remove the roof deck. So the reason being, our roof deck is a solar panel, and our roof box has a solar panel integrated into it. And the difference is our roof box has a keychain that allows you to open and close electronically. And so that keychain has its own additional wiring going up into the roof box. So if it were just a solar panel, like our roof deck, you can simply unbolt it and unplug the two wires and take it off the roof. The roof box, however, has another little set of wires that you have to deal with. So it can be done. It's just kind of labor intensive to get that thing up there in the first place and installed. And then to take it off would be hard to do, but it's not impossible by any means. So,
okay. Bell G. Hey, Tiny Watts, do you think solar panels in the future can be made smaller?
For sure. I mean, I think that's what's happening already. If you just look at the solar industry over the last years, every single year, the power density goes up a little bit. So like last year, even we were using 360 watt panels in a, 60 cell module, which is about my height, 5'5" or 63 to 65 inches and about 40 to 44 inches wide. But essentially last year it was a 360 watt panel. This year it's a 370 watt panel. It didn't get any bigger. The power density in that footprint increased. So the panel didn't necessarily get smaller, but the amount of wattage in that panel increased. And so it's definitely getting there.
Okay,
thanks, Aleka. We look forward to you being in touch. Send us an email about your Subaru project and we'll help design something up for you.
Okay, Shannon, are there apprenticeships or online classes available for solar ed that you can share?
So I think there are a bunch of classes out there, but they're all driven more towards like residential certifications, National Board of, accredited installers and that kind of thing. So they're all more related to residential systems. However, sneak preview, we are actually putting together a course and we want to ask you guys the type of things you want to know and we can provide that information for you. So coming soon from Tiny Watt Solar Academy.
Okay. Could I ship my van to the West Coast from Florida for a solar and battery install? I just bought a Ford Transit mid-roof yesterday. Well, congrats. Congrats on the Ford Transit. Yes, you could ship your van over here, or if you wanted, you could road trip over here and we could easily do the install for you.
Yeah, and I guess on that note, the beauty of all the work that we've done over the last, 4 years doing custom project after custom project has been the development of our pre-wired kits, which is, our version of doing everything we can prior to sending it to you to make it as easy as possible for you to install it once you get it. So in a way, you're kind of paying for all that time and energy we've put in, all that design work, and getting this in all-inclusive kit that has every single component and down to the nut and bolt that you need to do your kit install. So you're paying for that time. You're paying for the time and energy we've put into the design of these things, and you're paying an electrical engineering trained team to wire it up for you so it's done correctly. That being said, we can then send that kit to you and have you install it as a DIY kit. However, I totally understand electricity is scary, and there are a lot of people out there to say, you know what, I don't even want to touch this. So whether it be you send your van our way and we have our team install it here, or we try and find an installer on the East Coast that would be comfortable with the installation. So if you have a van builder or someone in mind, we usually can get in touch with that person, and it's no problem to have them install the kit. We can talk them through everything and get it installed in your area. Corey came back with, yep, I like the Chris Craft over the Silent Yachts. Don't want a catamaran. I have the upper deck for much solar. So that's exciting. Cool. I would look at the wattage of the Ocean Volt motors you're interested in, which I would expect are about 10,000 watts or more each. And therefore, we're going to want to look at, getting 20 kilowatts up on that flat space you're talking about. So let's look at dimensions and see if that's feasible.
Yeah, shoot us an email and we can talk about your project further. Okay, Brenda, our batteries get stronger and smaller with new technologies.
Yes, batteries are getting, again, just like solar, more energy dense. So they're able to, fit more storage in a lithium battery than they were, some years ago. And that's one huge advantage of lithium over lead acid batteries. Is just a basic example is, lead acid's only 50% usable capacity. So what that kind of means is you usually need 2 lead acid batteries to make up the capacity as one lithium battery can provide. Lithium's 100% usable. It's better to cycle them closer to 80%. But yeah, you're replacing what used to be 2 big heavy batteries with what one battery can provide. So,
okay, Corey, I've been looking into magnetic generators. Is this a myth or false? Are there actual applications out there?
There definitely are, but there's no such thing as free energy. There's millions of videos of people explaining free energy on the internet, but there's also millions of really top physicians and scientists explaining how that doesn't work. Involving magnets and electric motors can definitely increase efficiencies and make them, much better performing than other motors out there. But yeah, you always need energy. Yeah, I don't know. That's a rabbit hole. But the point being, for your application with the electric propulsion of your boat, the Ocean Volt system's nice in terms of the way their electric motors work is under sail. You can obviously regenerate power and put it back into your batteries. However, for a motor yacht application, that doesn't make sense because you don't have wind energy pushing you along to create that regeneration. So, okay, Shannon. Yes, please. Thanks. Okay. Solid state batteries, bad graphene batteries would be amazing. Yeah, there's tons of battery technology coming out. There are other lithium technologies that are more energy dense. For example, lithium polymer batteries that you'll find in electric vehicles. And we get asked a lot about using EV batteries in van conversion or tiny home applications. And I will say to not do that. And that lithium iron phosphate, or LIFE PO4, is the safest lithium chemistry for mobile applications. And it's not that you can't use lithium polymer, for example, like a recycled Tesla battery or, a crashed Chevy Volt or something. The problem is those electric car companies have really smart engineers that have developed really complex battery management systems and thermal cooling systems for those lithium cells. And the biggest difference in chemistry is lithium polymer has a property called thermal runaway, which means if voltage gets too high or voltage gets too low or things go wrong, those batteries get hot, and it's essentially a chemical reaction that leads to fire that you can't put out. Lithium iron phosphate does not have that property. So even if things do go wrong with a lithium iron phosphate battery, it's not going to lead to fire. Some people say you can put a screwdriver through a battery and penetrate it and it won't explode. I haven't personally done that, but
Don't do it.
I have personally seen really horrific photos of beautiful van conversions that were burnt to the ground because someone installed an aftermarket lithium recycled electric car battery into it. So I trust what's off the shelf from Relion. Their battery management system is super safe. We don't have to reinvent the wheel with a bunch of thermal cooling and all kinds of battery management stuff because it's built into the battery and it's a safer chemistry. So that being said, I would recommend against trying to build your own battery banks and recycle car batteries and trust Relion.
Trust Relion. Okay, what do we have over here?
Yeah. Okay, we got someone jumping into the. Okay, Chris, Ocean Bowl is 15 kilowatts per hour. Yeah. So just for an example of that, yes, it's a 48 volt system, but we're going to talk about wattage because it's the same across the board. 15 kilowatts for an hour. If that motor is fully running at its output power, 15 kilowatts. That's $15,000 in batteries for every hour you are motoring. So the range obviously is limited to how much cash we got in terms of energy storage. So it gets very absurd very quickly to have any sort of realistic range right now. So yeah, that it adds up quick. Okay, Max. You can't generate energy. You can just convert energy from one form to another. Yes, this is true. So free energy. There you go. Max, thanks for chiming in.
Shanna, are kits available on your website for a DIY install? Just bought a Virgin Transcend. She's ready for solar.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Both our solar kits and our power system kits are ready for install. We do a lot of the work for you in terms of all the connections of the different components and everything, kind of all the hard stuff. However, we send you the easy stuff, like the mechanical aspect of just mounting rails to your roof and bolting solar panels to those rails. That's kind of all the DIY easy things. And then your pre-wired kit shows up with some inputs that you connect, positive, negative for solar, alternator charger, shore power, a couple other things, and lights are on. So Shannon, if you're interested, send us an email and we can get you in the queue and build your kit while we're here helping out our team.
Corey, so what is the difference between the panels on your van versus the bulky panels you can see on most boats? I like yours better because we can walk on them.
So the difference is that ours are, so you're referring to our roof deck panels, which are a very special solar cell that has a lot more mechanical integrity than other solar cells that is integrated into a carbon fiber platform that we've developed. So those cells cannot be damaged. Now, that being said, a lot of our projects feature those same bulky panels that you're mentioning that are on most boats and residential homes and that kind of thing, because they're residential performing solar panels. They're, the residential energy or solar energy industry has skyrocketed over the years in terms of development, far, far in advance of anything on the RV side. So your engineering and all of that has gone into making those products better. So yeah, we're definitely not against those bulky panels, that you see most of the time on sailboats. In fact, on our own sailboat, we have 3 residential solar panels that are 360 watts each. So we can fit 1,000 watts in that footprint with very high performing, residential grade solar panels that we can't walk on. And so that's not that big of a, compromise, being able to not walk on them because they're up out of the way. So hopefully that answers your question there.
Thank you, Corey. Where are we at?
I don't know. We're at a standstill.
We're at a standstill.
This has been cool though. Jeez, 30 minutes flies by like that.
Yeah, it's already been 35 minutes. Wow.
Okay, so we have a question about Li-on batteries versus rely-on batteries. There's so many different battery manufacturers out there. We stick to what we know, which is what we've used in all of our personal projects, and that's rely-on. We put rely-on in our first van. We put rely-on in our second van. We've put rely-on in all of our projects since. They're on our boat. We trust their system to work when we're in the middle of the ocean and need our electronics to not fail in order to navigate. I've never had an issue with the rely-on battery management system. Li-on might have a higher continuous output. However, there are compromises that can come with that. I'm not totally familiar with the spec sheet on those batteries, but typically you'll see batteries that have higher rated maximum current draw typically have less of a lifespan. And so there are like compromises you're making there. Like you might be able to get more amps out of this battery. However, you're not going to be able to use that battery for a long enough lifespan. And you know, most of the rely-on batteries have 100 amp max discharge. Mm-hmm. And so for our systems, we're putting 3 or 4 of those batteries in parallel, which is each battery is able to put out that 100 amps. So for most applications, it makes, you know, plenty of sense to use rely-on, and you can get plenty of power from your system. And that is something to watch out for. A lot of people will go out there and buy a giant single battery. Like, hey, I bought a 300 amp hour battery for my project. Well, make sure you read the spec sheet, because that battery may only be able to put out 100 amps. 100 amps at 12 volts is only 1200 watts of power. So if you go buy a 2000 watt inverter and you only have a single battery, your battery is going to throttle the output ability of your inverter. So it's a very common thing that people mess up, is they go out and they get a giant inverter and then they get a single battery that can do a quarter of what their inverter can, and mess things up. Where if you bought 3 100 amp hour batteries to equal the same size system, you're getting 300 amp hours out of those, which is, you know, 3,600 watts, which is plenty of power for a 3,000 watt inverter. So that's today's geek out session on amp hour and amp capacity for batteries. Guru. Okay, there you go.
Aleka, does your website have a menu of all your DIY products? Yes.
It does.
Weekender kit, full send kit. Those are both DIY.
We also have our solar kits, right? So like
our solar kits.
Even if you can't afford a whole beautiful pre-wired electrically engineered weekender kit, but you want a 430 watt solar panel, we sell our solar kits a la carte. And they're not just solar panels, right? We provide the solar panel, we provide the rails for it, we provide the brackets to adapt from the solar rails to your specific type of van. We've already figured all that out, so you don't have to. And you know, it comes with your solar wire, the
sealant,
cable gland.
Everything is in your kit, and it will ship right to your front door, and you can install it yourself.
And so if you go to our products page on our website, and basically under each, she's the website whiz, but I think there's a there's a button underneath the picture PDF of the full send that takes you to the PDF of our solar menu, which shows you all of our specific pricing and whatnot with tax credit and all that stuff. So check it out. Yes, but the normal panels are so ugly.
Well,
depending on your preference. Yes. So on our boat, check it out. Go to our Instagram page and see if you can find some photos. I can't throw one up on here, but I think they look beautiful. They're black solar panels. They have black anodized aluminum frame. They're beautiful. I'm a solar guy. I love solar, but
we also have a YouTube video of us installing solar on the boat. So that is in one of our videos that you can check out and see us carrying these panels up and installing them.
It's a brutal video.
Yeah,
we're in Baja.
It's nasty. We look so rugged. We're dirty. We're sweaty.
It was a hot,
it's not
long
the nicest video.
project, but there are some good images in there towards the end of our solar panels on the boat. And just for an example, we're sitting out here at our friend John's place. This is a really cool application for solar. These panels. Sorry about the backflip there, but those are translucent panels. So it's just a glass sheet, which, as you can see, for an outdoor patio, is a beautiful application. It allows light to shine through, and I can look up and see, hey, I'm at a beautiful urban off-grid home, and that's where my energy is coming from right there. So I think that looks really good.
What do we got? Oh, cool. You've seen the video. Awesome.
Okay, cool. Right on. Great point.
When can you get the panels with photo overlay?
Can you clarify?
Yeah. What's going on there, Chris?
Yes, there are some, okay, photo overlay. It's essentially printing an image on a solar panel.
Okay.
And so there are some technologies coming out for this type of thing, which you could put a solar panel on a roof and they literally print roof tile image over that to make it look like it's just roof tiles. I personally don't think it's really worth it because there's going to be added costs and that kind of thing associated with that, where just accept that clean, beautiful solar panels look great because you're getting free energy from the sun forever, basically. Standard warranty on panels is 25 years. So you're going to see at least 80% of the output 25 years later. It's silent. It makes no noise. There's no moving parts. Solar's awesome. If you can't tell, we're pretty big fans. So yes, you could make solar look like grass or something. So you could have a solar lawn, and maybe that's a thing one day where people print grass on their solar panels. But
that would be interesting.
And honestly, the more realistic application of this is I've seen on teak decked sailboats, they'll print teak over the solar panels on the top of the cabin house or something. So it looks like they're teak wood slats essentially. And so from a drone shot or, just the first glance aesthetic of that boat, you might not notice that they're solar cells. However, if I glanced at a boat and noticed solar cells, I would think to myself, that's awesome. Those guys have solar. Good job. We love solar.
Cool, Corey.
Corey, hit us up.
Hit us
Test
up.
our geekiness. Last name's Watts, so we got a little bit on the subject.
Geek. I'm just here to back him up.
Sav's the geek too.
Yeah,
she's got it. She's wired up a lot of stuff.
Okay, Linda. I'm in the future going to be doing a van build, but I'm completely ignorant on electricity. Can you at some point do a video on what appliances and other things use for energy and for how long?
Yes. Coming
definitely.
Soon. And that is the exact type of thing we want you guys to reach out to us about, because we want to put videos out there in the future on the information you want to know. And I have custom consultations all the time with people, and I have this conversation over and over again of just, how do you intend on using your vehicle? What are your thoughts on what you're going to run? And, everyone's done a bunch of poking around online, and they'll say, well, I want an electric incinerating toilet or something crazy like that. And that's awesome. That sounds like a really great thing, except you run into power restrictions. For something like that, it uses 2,000 watts per flush. So that's basically a $2,000 flush each time. I mean, after obviously that initial investment, your batteries are going to provide that power into the future. But we have that conversation because it's, what appliances do you want to run at the same time? Are you okay with running one thing at a time? Use your induction cooktop after you've used your electric kettle to make coffee before breakfast, and that kind of mindset. Or is it, hey, I want unlimited power, I want to run all these things and not worry about it? And we play with that, come up with kind of that cost versus compromise of hey, I'm going to save money on a bigger inverter because I'm okay making coffee before I make breakfast. But on different applications, it's no, I don't want to think about it at all. I'm going to spend more money on a bigger inverter so I can power everything at the same time. So yes, there will be more videos about the realities of common loads in vans. But thanks for reaching out about that. Yes, for another
Your
$10 for another $10, you can have your face printed on a solar panel and be Mr. Solar. Okay,
Hello,
so we got an
good
Aussie
day.
in UK.
Hi. Can you sail here to UK and do the electrics on our new build we hope to start on soon?
We'll meet you in New Zealand.
Yes.
How about that?
How about that? Or Australia.
We're going the other way. We're going to where
Yeah.
it's warm.
Yeah,
so
we like being warm.
We'll meet you in the South Pacific or New Zealand. But
yes, we could totally do an install on your boat. Whether, you come meet us or we fly over there and meet you, we can do that. We would just need to talk about that further through email and maybe a possible phone call.
Yep. I would say, as you guys have kind of seen, if you've been following us for a while, or if you're new to our stuff, we used to live in a van and we used to drive from one solar project to another. And we would drop ship stuff to the person's house. We would do the project in the driveway. We'd power them up and we'd move on to the next one. And it was an awesome way to have a work-life balance where we can travel, see the United States and do a bunch of awesome projects and continue on that way. So the theory
go ahead,
is we can do that from a boat. Now that we have manufacturing set up, we have an awesome team kind of handling more of the van life side of things, developing or wiring up our pre-wired kits and sending them for our DIY projects. We're out there connected via satellite to talk you through these projects. But in the end, it'd be awesome if we could sail around doing solar projects, whether they be for remote islands and, water purification or
wildlife
sanctuaries in the middle of the desert and that kind of thing. We want to travel the world essentially and do solar projects along the way. So we are very hopeful that we can do that one day. And hope to inspire you guys to chase similar dreams.
Yeah, so shoot us an email.
Sorry, not a sailboat, got a van. Totally cool. Fine.
Yes. We could figure something out.
Ship that thing to New Zealand and do some overlanding down there. No.
Let's just get through this pandemic and we will come meet you or you come meet us. We'll figure something out.
Okay, this is a good question. Right here.
Yeah, Shannon. Do you need to tilt your panels?
So, a beautiful thing about solar is it's silent and it has no moving parts. So for a van or other mobile application, I'm very against tilting for a few reasons. One, you're adding moving parts to a system that doesn't need them. And typically using a higher wattage panel, for example, just our standard panels that are like 430 watts or 370, where like we're literally using the highest output panel in the smallest footprint available on the market. So instead of using a 200 watt panel, you're using a 370 watt panel in the same footprint. And what that gets you is more power output for your panel, which would make up for any gain you would have got by tilting them. Yes, if you tilt that 370, you're going to get a little more out of it. But in comparison to like what standard wattage normal projects would use on RVs and that kind of thing, you're making up for that with a higher wattage panel, while still maintaining the simplicity of the system of no moving parts. So that's kind of the beauty of solar, is it's one and done. You put that up there, you never touch it, you never have to tilt it. Tilting really makes more sense for like super far north remote cabins where it's like a seasonal tilt. In the wintertime, the sun is really low on the horizon and barely even comes up. You're going to have your panels tilted almost, close to vertical to get as much solar as you can out of the sun for the limited amount of time that you have it, where then summer rolls around and you flatten your panels back out. So for mobile applications, it doesn't really make sense to tilt panels.
Great question. Hey, Hey, it's Uncle Steven. What's up?
How's it going, eh? From the Great White North, Uncle Steven up in Canada.
Hi,
Nice.
guys.
Hi, guys.
Okay, I know batteries have a lifetime, but do the panels themselves deteriorate over time? That's a good question.
Yes, they can, and they do. However, the standard solar warranty is 25 years.
So that's a long time right there.
The way that's figured out is that basically 25 years from the day your panels go up on your roof, you'll see at least 80% power output of that same module. So, you're going to see 80% of the 370 watts 25 years from now, which is really pretty impressive. And now that lithium batteries have, easily a 10 to 15 year lifespan, if not more, that's 10 to 15 years at 80% cycles every day. So the reality of it is you don't cycle your batteries every day. Some days you might barely discharge them, and some days you might discharge them all the way. So you could easily see 20 years out of a lithium battery system. So
and 25 plus years with a solar panel. Okay, if I wanted to run an 1800 watt maximum.
Okay, here we go.
Okay, here we go.
This is good for everyone to kind of get an idea of power.
How many Reliant batteries should I use? I know I would need a 500 watt, 5,000 watt inverter, I think is what you meant.
Yep. So if I wanted to run an 1800 watt oven, an 1800 watt cooktop, and a sous vide precision cooker, which is basically another 1800 watt or at least 1200 watt appliance, how many batteries should I use? And so that's a question about energy storage capacity. So the answer depends on how long you want to do all of those things. But for some quick math, you got 1800 watts from toaster oven, you got 1800 watts from induction cooktop. That's 3,600 watts already. Just call it 1,000 for the sous vide or something. We're looking at 4,600 watts, which you mentioned a 5,000 watt inverter. However, if you look at the spec sheet, I bet there's a 4,000 watt continuous output on that inverter. So I would say, do you really need to do all of those things at the same time in your application? Because I feel like 2 of those things is probably still plenty and pretty awesome. But to quickly answer your question, let's say all of that added up to 5,000 watts just for easy math. If you wanted to do that for an hour, you would need 5,000 watt hours of energy storage, which at 12 volts is 400 amp hours, but at 24 volts is only 200 amp hours. So you could buy 4 batteries. Like our Weekender kit, for example, is a 5,000 watt hour system. It's 400 amp hours. And so if you were running all of those things at once using 5,000 watts, you could only do it for an hour. But are you using an induction cooktop for an hour? Probably not. You're probably only using that induction cooktop for 15, 20 minutes. And so that's where we kind of hone in on your daily energy consumption for how long you're really doing all those things, and if you really need to do all those things at one time. So to answer your question, you need 5,000 watt hours if you want to do it for an hour, but you probably don't. So I would say that's around a good amount. If not, you want probably a little more batteries behind all of that stuff.
Corey, till we meet you on an island soon. Great.
Sounds good.
Shannon, what are your favorite kinds of projects now that you've worked so many different kinds?
That's a good question.
Well, that's a good question. I mean, all our projects have been great, especially the people. We love all the people we've worked with.
Yeah. I really like seeing what people do with our pre-wired systems.
Yeah.
So really, vans only come in so many shapes and sizes, and it's really what honed us in on the pre-wired aspect of hey, let's make a small one and a big one. And if you have big electrical needs in your van, you're going to need the big kit. Mm-hmm. If you have small electrical needs, the smaller kit's going to be plenty to rock your world. And so it's awesome to see someone get, say, our Weekender kit And it still packs a punch. They'll go out there with their family of 4 and have an awesome weekend off grid and send us photos of like, hey, look, my wife's using a hairdryer and we're camping down by the river and I'm fishing. And that's like, yes, solar power gives you freedom. That's so cool to see.
do whatever you want to do.
So on that side of things, I really like seeing that application with our pre-wired kits. In terms of projects we like working on, we like the custom stuff. We like something crazy, a big overland truck or an awesome off-grid tiny home or that kind of thing. And we really want to get more involved in remote projects around the world. So like Sav was mentioning about wildlife sanctuaries and that kind of thing. So we look forward to
villages,
future stuff like that.
Yeah, we're excited about that. Okay, that's a good one. We got some questions here. This is great.
This one right here.
Yeah. Is there any thought about installing a charge plug like electric cars? Have to charge battery cells to supplement solar cells on a van?
So electric vehicle plugs are different than the type of plugs you would use to charge your van. Mainly it's related to voltage, but without getting super involved, electric vehicle voltage is much higher than what you'd find in a van. So their battery modules are up at like 300 to 500 volts. So they're super high voltage, and those electric chargers are able to charge at that voltage. Now, in a van, you're at 12 volts or at 24 volts. You're not going to be able to plug into an EV style plug. However, you can plug into an RV park, right? And that's essentially your supercharger. It's a 30 amp receptacle, which is 3,600 watts. And so you can have 3,600 watts of charging into your 5,000 watt hour battery bank with our weekender, or a 10,000 watt hour battery bank with our full send, which, just for quick numbers, like you plug in at an RV park with our weekender kit, hour and a half, your system's full from empty. So
it's pretty amazing.
If you're going to an RV park, you're probably going to take a shower, you're going to do a little bit of laundry, like it's kind of overkill. You don't need to charge your system that fast. And obviously while you're driving and you're in the sun, your system's going to be recharging anyways. So it's not really an application that makes sense, the whole supercharging theory. However, you can plug in at home or you can plug in at an RV park to get a lot higher power put into your battery bank.
Okay, what do you think about solar generators?
Solar generators are awesome. They're quiet. They don't make any noise. They're great.
I like that.
We love solar. And for those people saying, well, what's a solar generator? It's basically solar components in a box to provide 120 volts for something that you need to do, which essentially is batteries and an inverter and some DC distribution in a box that you can charge with solar. Once that system's charged, now you have a solar generator. You can plug something into it and run it for X amount of hours until your battery bank runs out. Our kits are solar generators. The Weekender is a solar generator. The Full Send is a solar generator. That, if you look at it that way, is a 5,000 watt solar generator with 10,000 watt hours of energy storage. It's huge. Okay, people are waking up now. We got some questions firing off right as we're about to wrap up here on our hour hang. But
Robert, what year, model, length is the catamaran? Well, Swell is a 1994 Lagoon TPI catamaran, and she is 42 feet. She's perfect size for the family of 5.
Yep.
Dan, what is your thought on using the Tesla battery wall for van life? One advantage it can be mounted outside. Hi, Katie.
Okay, so the Tesla Powerwall is super awesome for residential applications. Actually, the house that we are at right now has 2 Tesla Powerwalls, and that is what helps give John and his neighbors amazing off-grid abilities. But they just don't make sense for mobile applications. Yes, they can mount on your wall, and you could probably figure out how to do it. But it's an AC coupled system, which doesn't prevent you from doing it on a van, but essentially the solar panels have micro inverters on them. And so from each solar panel, it takes DC and converts it to AC. Then that AC goes to the Powerwall, and it's an AC coupled system. Without geeking out too much, my reasons for not using power walls is it's just not their intended application. There's thermal cooling in there. There's pumps happening. There's, liquid cooling flowing. Vibrating down a road might not be the right thing for those. And they're huge. They're thin and they can be wall mounted, but they're massive. And in a van, after just living in a van, there isn't really anywhere I'd put it unless it was like the picture on the wall, right? It would be just a showpiece in your van, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. But I think the, mobile applications, batteries like Relion and other battery manufacturers that are for that intended use are much better because you can hide them under the bed, you can put them under the couch, they tuck out of the way. They're just better shape and size overall for mobile applications. Okay, let's put a 15-minute cap on it because we got people to pick up from the airport and things to do. So we're going to try and hit all these.
Okay.
In reality, I would only be doing two of those tasks at the same time. The induction for only 10 minutes and the oven for maybe an hour max. So exactly, right? Like in reality, we're not going to run all those things at one time from our earlier example. So if you were doing two things at once, 3,600 watts, totally within the realm for a 5,000 watt inverter, because even if its continuous output power is 4,000, 3,600 is underneath that. So your inverter will be able to do it. Secondly, with a 5,000 watt hour battery bank, you could run both appliances for over an hour, which you're not going to do. The induction's only on for 10 minutes and the toaster oven's on for an hour. So a 5,000 watt hour battery bank would be substantial. And it often gets overlooked with our Weekender kit because everyone sees a full send as the option. And they just say, well, I don't want to be limited, so I'm going full send. But you'd be surprised how much energy is stored in 5,000 watt hour battery bank with our Weekender kit. So that's the hot tub turning on. I might need to close the lid on that. Okay, kitty pass. The solar powered hot tub turned on. So that led to the next question about, is the Weekender kit big enough for full-time van life? And it absolutely is. It's a 3,000 watt inverter. It's what we have on the boat. It just means you're using one appliance at a time. So you're going to make, coffee with an electric kettle before you turn on your toaster oven. So your inverter is plenty big, and 5,000 watt hours is a lot of energy storage. I really draw the line between the full send and the Weekender when it comes to air conditioning. And the full send can pack that punch for those applications where people need 6 to 8 to 10 hours of air conditioning, where they're really going to be in hot places and they're really concerned about cooking in their van. They want 8 hours of air conditioning. Well, that's a $10,000 battery bank. I mean, that's a lot of power. So for a Weekender, if you're living full time in your van and you don't have a really crazy air conditioning load, we lived in a van for 4 years with a Weekender kit, essentially. So yeah.
Bye, Shannon. Thanks for
watching. Thanks for checking in. We got a newbie question.
What happens once your batteries are fully charged? Does the panels disconnect? And can they ever overcharge? That's a good question.
That's a good question. And your solar charge controller is going to take care of that for you. So solar panels feed a charge controller, and the charge controllers are looking at the voltage of your battery bank, and they are going to basically tell your solar panel to be on or off. And when the batteries are full, they're no longer charging your batteries. And when the batteries are low, it's getting as much power as it can from that solar panel.
Matt, your amount of knowledge is making my head spin.
I'm trying. Yeah. This is a huge goal of mine, is to keep this stuff simple. So it is complicated, but it's not that complicated. And I always kind of joke with my friends, like, we'll do an install together and it's their first time. And we got through the whole install and I'm like, hey man, don't tell anyone that this is just positive and negative wires. Like, keep this a secret. Like, don't let word get out that this stuff isn't that hard, because then I'm out of work. No, but it's not rocket science. Power flow is simple to understand if you just break it down, and that's kind of our goal, is to keep things simple for you, to take care of all the complicated stuff for you. I mean, behind the scenes of our pre-wired kit is all the wire sizing and the lugs and what components need to be protected, and where do the circuit breakers go, and in between what, and then all the programming, setting the voltage, charging algorithms correctly, setting your shore power voltage charging correctly, and just all of the settings and special programming for the system. We do all of that for you. So when you get it, you simply are hooking up positive and negative and crimping together a couple wires, and off you go. So we're trying to keep it simple for you.
Okay. We have another Matt. Do you recommend charging your battery off your alternator with a charge controller in between them?
Absolutely.
Alternator charging is huge.
Yes.
Highly recommend it, for sure.
You're driving down the highway already. Why not get a couple more 100 watts out of your system? There's a few caveats there. So with a lithium battery bank, you want to have a lithium safe charger, and it's not going to be a solar charge controller. It's an alternator charge controller, or a DC to DC charge controller. It's something that can take a DC input source, which is different from solar because it doesn't have to track the IV curve of the solar panel. So solar charge controllers are different, even though they're also DC. So it's a DC to DC charger, and you want it to be able to take your lead acid starter battery and the voltage it's being charged at, and convert that to the appropriate voltage for the lithium battery bank. So I definitely recommend it. I kind of tell people alternator charging is like throwing an extra solar panel up on your roof when you start driving. So on our smaller systems, you'll see about 360 watts. And on our larger systems, you'll see about 500 watts, which are both well within the range of factory alternator abilities. When you get into adding a secondary alternator, that's more for like those really heavy air conditioning type projects where, okay, yeah, let's bump up your charger to 100 amps and allow you to get faster charging off your alternator, but it's not needed for your everyday project. So yes, alternator charging good. Lithium alternator charger between starter battery and house battery bank, and every time you go for a drive, you're throwing another 300-400 watts up on the roof. Right on.
Yeah. Thanks Corey.
I want to say, as a reminder, y'all rock. So thank you, Corey.
Thank you, Corey.
We're trying. This is really fun to connect with you guys and see what questions people have, and just kind of try and be here for you. You're all supporting us with our journey and subscribing to our channels, and we want to support back. So
we should probably we'll answer these last few questions.
Yeah, at 11:15 we're out.
We're out. So if you have any further questions, just put them in. Shannon, any ideas? I have all my solar stuff and no idea how to wire it. I live in Nevada. Right? No, that's wrong. I'm sorry. And can't find anyone who will wire 12-volt solar, only house solar.
Yes, this is hard. So this comes up all the time. And it's a tricky one. So someone will say, hey, I bought all this stuff online. I just need someone to put it together. Well, the problem with that is, did you buy all the right stuff? Who told you what to buy? Does your charge controller is it programmable for lithium batteries? Did you buy 2 different kinds of solar panels, right? There's all these different things that can come up. And so without like sorting through and picking out each and every component that, someone may have purchased, it's really hard for us to accept the liability of that system and say, oh yeah, hey, here's how to put all that stuff together, because it may not be the components we would recommend. It may not be in the same order that we would recommend installing all of that stuff. So it's really tough, but we always say, hey, if you're thinking about a solar project, reach out prior, before you even buy appliances, because your system design is going to change what you purchase down the road. Like if it's a 24-volt system, well, you're going to buy a 24-volt refrigerator and you're going to buy a 24-volt mobile air conditioner. And so there are things like that that really matter making decisions up front. So it's tough when someone buys everything, says, hey, how do I put it together? In your area, I would look for marine electricians. Those are people that are going to be comfortable touching 12 and 24 volts, and they're familiar with DC systems. However, we can provide DIY kits. We can say, hey, here's all this stuff to buy, or hey, buy our pre-wired kit, and here's how to put it all together, because I know the components I'm recommending, and I'm, instructing how to put them together correctly. But we can't assume liability for a project where we have no idea what you bought, and we may not be familiar with those components. So that's kind of the tough answer for that one. Do you recommend second alternator as well as solar charging? So secondary alternators allow you to get more charge, basically, because your factory alternator is limited to how much current it can put out. So on our basic systems, you see about 30 to 50 amps, which is about 300 to 600 watts, which is plenty. If you have an air conditioner and you have super intense loads, then okay, yeah, you should get a secondary alternator, and we're going to bump that up to 100 amps. But typically, the standard with solar, if you get 600 watts of solar or even 400 watts of solar up on your roof, and now you go for a drive, you're getting another 400 watts off of that. So you're close to 1,000 watts driving down the road. So only touch one wire at a time. Yep. Chris, good job there. That's always good. Okay. Okay, so we got a question about my Transit has a secondary air conditioner on the back near the door. It works great, but it turns off when I turn off my van. And so that is because it is a belt-driven air conditioner, which when air conditioners come with a vehicle, they're most often belt-driven, which just means that your motor is literally spinning a belt that's driving that air conditioner. They can be converted. It depends on the air conditioner, and it's kind of complicated. But essentially, there is a difference between a belt-driven air conditioner and an air conditioner that can be run off 120 volts, which would be an AC unit, an AC air conditioner. I always just say air conditioning because AC and DC gets complicated. But you have AC-powered air conditioners and you have DC-powered air conditioners. For vans, DC is a little better. They don't quite crank as much cooling capacity, but they run straight off the batteries, which is more efficient. Oh, we got Megan.
Hi, Megan.
We got an awesome South African babe on here.
Yes.
My brother's amazing girlfriend that we love dearly. Megan says, no questions, but just want to say thank you for sharing some knowledge with us. Love you guys. Well, back at you.
Too.
We miss you both dearly. And yeah, check it out. Great team.
Love the knowledge and passion you both have for making this fun easy for your clients.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We will continue to try and do so. So yeah, thanks for everyone for checking in. Home base will be Mojave Desert.
Cool.
Y'all are next level clever. Right on. Thanks, Tracy. We're trying. And yeah, Mojave Desert got plenty of solar out there.
Yeah. That's perfect place for solar.
And yes, cool. Megan, we hope to catch up soon with you guys as well. So
cool. Well, that's about time.
That was fun.
First live.
Yeah,
Yay.
That was cool. Message us, comment down below, ask questions, say what you want to see more of, and we're going to try and bring that to the table for you guys. So.
Yeah, YouTube is a whole new world for us, but we're really excited to get in it and share our story and share the inspiration, because you can follow your dreams no matter what. And
solar can help you do it. Get off grid.
Yeah,
live your life.
Yeah, get off grid. Let's see this world. So
say bye, Kitty.
Say bye, Kitty. Bye. He said bye.
All right.
Cool, you guys.
Until next time.
Send us an email, comment below. We'll talk to you guys soon.
Cheers.